I have a pile of some of the most hyped up new launches at Sephora, and today we're gonna get to the bottom of this. Okay, which ones are worth it, which ones are not? Today I've got some first impressions, some second impressions, and beyond, so let's just put these products on my face. Okay, we've got the Fenty concealer, and I'm so eager to talk about this, but first let's just quickly apply a little bit of foundation. We will do its friend. Look how cute the corresponding packaging is. This is the Eaze Drop Foundation, which for me is my favorite of the Fenty foundations. I like this better than the Pro Filter. It's just a little bit lighter coverage. It still looks beautiful on the skin, wears really well. It's just a little bit more lightweight, but I do like the Pro Filter some days if I want like a very glam look, but this is honestly just like one of my favorite foundations to ever exist. So I'm currently using the shade 3. Look at that. I had the shade 5 and it was just way too dark for me. This, if you're around my skin tone, great shade match. Okay, but speaking of shade match, let me tell you what I have in the concealer. I have the shade 140. It's a little too light for me, okay? So I'm gonna be applying it for the second time today. And I will say, if you're around my skin tone and you want the brightening effect on your under eyes, 140N would probably be great. I want my concealer to almost match my foundation, you know, just with like a little bit more coverage to it. So this shade, surprisingly, looking at the rest of the range, I really thought that this would be my shade, if not like maybe even too dark, but it's actually a lot lighter than I was expecting. They did send this to me, and when they sent out the email to like pick your shade, they asked you to choose 3 that you think might match. This one I almost didn't include because I was like, I think that might be too dark for me. But thank goodness I did, because the other ones that I picked, which are around like 120, would have been way too light. Okay, base looks nice. Now, first thing to note about this concealer is the doe foot. It's a little bit funky. It has this like curve to it. It's like half of an S, if you will. The doe foot is also pretty small, so I feel like you have some nice precision there if you were wanting to spot conceal. And also the curve, I kind of think it allows the product to be picked up pretty easily. So I like the shape of this. Very different than a lot of concealer doe foots, but look at that. See, this is not my shade, but you know, that was on me, but I like to mention that because you might want to go into store and see if you can shade match. But there are 50 shades in this concealer. Of course, Fenty always does a phenomenal job with their shade range, so I love that. It also retails for $30, which is pretty similar to most other concealers at Sephora. They are all around that price, maybe a little more, a little bit less. Also, for reference, the amount of product is pretty average as well. It's 9 milliliters or 0.3 fluid ounces. Funny enough, when I looked this up on Sephora, I hope they've updated this by now. Has anyone noticed there are constantly typos on the Sephora website, which is shocking to me. But this, at the time that I was prepping for the video, they had it listed as 9 ounces. I'm like, if that were the case, that would be a giant concealer. You can't even take that on a plane with you. Like, a foundation is 1 ounce. Imagine 9 of them. But do you see? It looks nice. This is what I ran into the first time I applied this. I have actually, you know, okay, let me preface this by saying I'm dry right now. We got our first like real snowstorm. We have entered winter. It took us a while. Winter came very late this year, but it's now winter. And so my skin is trying to catch up with the weather. I've got some dryness. So if anything, we are putting this concealer through the most challenging test right now, but this under eye in particular, I can see the concealer clinging to dryness. And even around my brows, that's where I kind of have the most flaking, and I can see it kind of clinging onto those patches. That being said, that's pretty standard. It's gonna be really hard to find a concealer or any liquid product that doesn't in some ways cling to flaking, but I just like to point that out. If you have dry skin, it's not sitting as well as I would like. Okay, we're looking nice. I think the skin looks like really dewy and beautiful. So now let's use the cutest collab. This is the collaboration with Tower 28, and Kung Fu Panda, the fourth movie. And look how beautiful this blush is. So first of all, we have a red shade of their blush. This is called Dumpling Hour. You also have the beautiful limited edition packaging with the little logo here from the movie. And there is also a lip gloss in here in the shade Magic. So if you were interested in this, just to talk on the value of it for a second, everything is full size. So this is the included blush. This is like their regular full size blush. These retail for $20 normally. And then the lip gloss, it's also full size, just like normal. And these are normally $16. So there's about a $6 savings there. But let's put the blush on. I was a little bit intimidated by this at first because I'm like, okay, I don't know about a red blush on my skin tone, but the videos I've watched, this tends to sheer out pretty well. At least it looks like that. So I think what I'm gonna do is take my sponge, and this is the sponge from Kosas. Pick a little bit up, and let's test it on the back of my hand. Yeah, not bad. I am going to take this and just start tapping it in. Okay. Like I said, it applies actually like a rather sheer red, which I think is nice. It gives you a lot of space to build it up if you need to. I've also seen this work on a lot of different skin tones. The Tower 28 blushes are very balmy. So if you like this like hyper dewy finish, I think this formula is perfect for achieving it. And this, if anything, I don't know that it's necessarily looking so red on my cheek, almost like a little bit more pink, you know? I think just because the red pigment isn't coming across as bright as it looks in the pan, it almost is translating a little bit more pink on the skin. So, you know, if you were wanting that true bright red, I do want to mention that, but I think this shade is super wearable, would be very easy to use, really like not as intimidating as you would think in the pan. Also, this, like I said, this is the Kosas sponge, and every time I use this on camera, I get so many questions of what is that sponge, because it is a little bit of a funky shape. It is very elongated. I love the shape of the sponge though. I need more brands to start making a sponge with this very drawn out point, because I think it is so wonderful for blending out concealer or just like going around anything, because you have a little bit more precision with the shape. Okay, the blush is looking nice. I want to add a little bit of cream bronzer. I don't have a new one. So I'm gonna go ahead and take the Saie cream bronzer and apply this with Angie's Singe brush in F01. I like how I said in F01, as if that's like the name of the shade. I'm gonna take the F01 brush and we'll just apply a little bit of bronzer. But the next product I am both curious and nervous about, because I don't know that it's fully going to work for me, but I was just so intrigued that I have to try it. So I picked up the newest shade of the Huda Beauty Easy Bake Powder. They just launched a peach, and they even say like this is great for a medium to deep skin tone for kind of brightening the under eyes. It's kind of like an alternative option to the bright pink under eye. I have been very into peach blush lately and nude blush lately, that I was like, okay, I want to try the peach and just see. Because when I first tried like the pink from Jones Road, I was like, oh, this isn't gonna work on me. And yet somehow it did. So I was like, you know what? Let's at least try the Huda Beauty. I have to know. And I purchased just the mini of it because they sell these also in a mini. The full size is a little bit bigger, obviously, and it's $38, whereas the mini is $22. So I figured that would be enough to just try it out. And I've watched a few other creators that have a light skin tone wear it, and it looks fine. So I'm like, okay, we'll see. And if it doesn't work, I'll still find a use for it. I'll just like mix it in with my other powders, you know, make my own little concoction. Now, something to note with the packaging on the mini, it is a bit funky. It might not be easiest option because it has this like powder puff on the other side. So it, in theory, would be great for travel, but it's not like you can dump the powder into the lid the way you might be with another product. So just know the mini packaging does look different than the full size. Okay, the best part is this part. Okay, you're gonna absolutely hate this. I absolutely hate this, but don't worry, my hands are freshly washed. They are clean, and I'm going to just put some in my hand just because we can't put it in the lid. And I'm going to take my powder puff and pick it up. Okay, right away though, it's not like so peach. I'm actually not concerned that it's gonna be too dark. Are those gonna be like my famous last words before I completely ruin my makeup? We'll see. No, okay, see? It might be like slightly too dark, but I don't mind it. Again, I don't like my under eyes to be so bright. I instead prefer that they just like kind of seamlessly blend in with the blush, which is why I was so excited about a peach under eye powder. I also just love this concept because it's gonna help do a little bit of minor color correcting as well, especially if you have some blueness. The peach being the opposite tone is gonna help to brighten that up a bit, hopefully camouflage some of that pigment. I'll tell you what, my under eyes look very nice. Maybe, I don't know, maybe sometimes I watch footage back and I'm like, girl, what were you seeing? Or it'll be the opposite. I'll think it looks really bad and then I'll watch the footage back and be like, no, it looks fine. But I think my under eyes look nice. I don't think this looks too dark. You know, if you have like super fair skin, again, the pink is probably gonna be better for you, but I just wanted to see, because I'm very much in a pink phase right now with my, or a peach phase right now with my cheek products. So I just thought this would be a cool addition to my collection. Do you feel like this side of my face looks flawless? Like, I just think it looks so smooth, almost filtered. Like when you compare it to this, like, yes, this is dewy, it's glowy, it looks nice, but this looks perfected. Again, I'm dumping this in my hand. I know, don't look, close your eyes. But this is why I will just always be a powder lover. Like, it does magic, especially when you're applying it with a puff like this. That being said, I'm gonna be really curious to hear how this sits on a deep skin tone, if it leaves a cast. I'm not sure. I do know they have so many shades in this though. Okay, once again, I'm doing it. I'm going to use the Natasha Denona My Mini Dream again. I know I've used this in every video recently, but I just like it, okay? So I'm gonna start with a little bit of eyeshadow primer from Milani. And I'm gonna do this look a little bit backwards. So I'm gonna start with the deepest shade, which is this brown shade right here, on a pencil brush, and just apply it along the lash line to start kind of smoking the eye out a little bit. I'm taking it all the way in. I know it looks harsh right now. Then I'm taking, wait for it, my finger, yes, just my finger, and I'm gonna kind of like blur along the line, basically just like smudging it out. Then with also just my finger, I'm gonna take the darker shimmer and apply that all over the lid. And then taking the lighter matte browns, I'm just gonna buff out the crease to finish off the look. Okay, I paused for a minute because my radiator was running, and if you live in an old building, those are pretty loud. So we took a little break there. I filled in my brows a bit and I curled my lashes so we can try the new brown version of the Tower 28 mascara. Okay, I've been hearing a lot of buzz about this. This is their newest shade, Drift. And right off the bat, I was really curious about the brown shade here. So I actually swatched it against two other brown mascaras that I just reviewed. My favorite, the e.l.f. Lash Extender, and then the new brown shade from Essence, their like Lash Princess line. And I will say, in the swatches next to them, it doesn't look like the brown pigment from the Tower 28 is going to be like quite as chocolatey as I like. But let's see on the lashes. Let's see. So the Tower 28 formula is really fantastic. I feel like it just grips onto every single lash. They look so lengthened and separated. Honestly, it probably would be my top favorite formula if it wore a little bit better. I tend to get a little bit of flaking, and not even as much flaking as like some smudging down here when I tend to wear this. But I'm curious to see how different, if at all, the brown formula is gonna wear to the black formula. Because that was something I ran into with the Essence Lash Princess. I found that like the new brown shade wears a bit differently than their original black shade. It just like much less intense on the lashes, and partially I'm sure that's the color because it's just not as pigmented, but I find that it actually just wears a lot more subtle. I'm sad to report, I feel like this just looks black. And let me know. I thought the same thing with the e.l.f. one. initially, and then when I watched the footage back, I was like, girl, that's totally brown. But with this, again, even in the swatches, I just don't think it looks as chocolatey as I want it to. I just feel like all these brown mascaras are basically black. But my lashes look phenomenal, as they normally would with a Tower 28 mascara, so you know, I will get back to you just like with everything else, but first impression, the length and everything is gorgeous. I just wish it was more brown. Okay, these from Summer Fridays, so excited. But actually, wait, I have one other review I thought we would just throw in here while we're talking about like new hot Sephora products, because my friend Simbri gave me this, the new fragrance from Phlur. This is their newest scent, Mood Ring. She got it in PR and they gave her like a full size and a mini. So she gave me the mini. I was so excited. And funny enough, this is a perfume that in theory I should hate, but I love it. Okay, so it is a fruity floral fragrance, which for me, those are normally two categories I avoid. I don't normally like fruity florals. I'm a gourmand girly. Sorry, I love a gourmand. I want to smell like edible, and this normally would not be my preference at all. But I think this is a really beautiful take on a fruity floral fragrance. And I think it's because of the base notes, okay? So on Sephora, it lists the key notes as fruit gummies, orange flower, and glazed musks. But I was looking on Fragrantica, and the base notes are patchouli, amber, and musk. Anything with amber and musk, love. Normally, I avoid anything with patchouli. I feel like that note for me just stands out above everything and kind of like ruins a perfume. I think it just, for me, it smells so strong. This can't even smell the patchouli note in there. Okay, maybe if I'm like really thinking about it, but I don't find it overpowering. And I think the way this sits on the skin, it just wears beautifully. And I've been wearing this for probably about a month now, and I have to say it is one of my most complimented perfumes. Like truly, every time I wear this, someone's like, you smell amazing. And it's something I didn't think I would like. So thought I would share thoughts on that, but let's try the Summer Fridays lip balms. So first I'm gonna do a little lip liner just because I always do. So we'll start with the e.l.f. ones that I have been loving. This is the shade Baddest Beige. Okay, now for the Summer Fridays lip oil. This is in the shade Soft Mauve. We've got a nice chunky doe foot, which I do love. And let's see. Yeah, that's what I thought. It's actually so pigmented. I was expecting this to be a lot more sheer initially, but when you look at it in here, like you could see it's gonna have some pigment to it. So let's try this on the lips. Ooh, it feels really smooth. Okay, love the doe foot. You know what? Even though it is pretty pigmented, I feel like it's shearing out well on the lips and not looking like too mauve. Okay, ooh, I was nervous I wouldn't like this shade. I don't typically like very cool tone purpley lips on me, but the way this sheared out is really pretty. I wasn't sure if all these colors were gonna come together with the peach under eyes, the red cheeks, the purpley lipstick, but I feel like this look is pretty. I think we have a lot of hits in here. I am going to leave a pinned comment after I've been wearing this makeup throughout the day. I will let you know my thoughts, how everything wears, but thank you so much for watching, and I will go ahead and see you in my next video. Bye.